The night Amara disappeared, the drums of celebration were still echoing across the village. Women danced around the fire beneath the moonlight. Children chased one another between mud houses. Palm wine flowed freely. The entire village of Umueka had gathered to celebrate the New Yam Festival, the most sacred night of the year. But before dawn arrived, the girl everyone loved was gone. And the three friends who cried the loudest at her disappearance were the same ones who had led her into darkness. In the heart of eastern Nigeria, surrounded by thick forest and red earth roads, stood the peaceful village of Umueka. The villagers believed every person carried a spirit tied to their destiny. Some were born to suffer quietly, while others seemed blessed from childhood. Amara belonged to the second kind. She was the daughter of a humble palm wine tapper named Obi and a gentle basket weaver named Mama Ifeoma. Though her family was not wealthy, their compound overflowed with love and respect. Amara was known throughout the village for her kindness. She spoke softly to elders. She helped widows carry firewood. She fetched water for the sick without being asked. And when she smiled, people often said it felt as though sunlight had entered the room. But what made Amara happiest was her friendship with three girls she had grown up beside since childhood, Ngozi, Kemi, and Sod. The four girls were inseparable. They bathed together at the river. They sold vegetables together at the market. They danced together during festivals. People called them the Four Moon Sisters because they were never seen apart. "Nothing will ever separate us," Amara once said while they sat beneath the Noku tree near the stream. Amara lowered her eyes shyly. "My mother says character follows a woman longer than beauty." Their love grew naturally. Soon, rumors spread that Chibis intended to marry her. That rumor poisoned her friendships completely. One evening, while pounding yam behind Ngozi's mother's hut, Kemi finally spoke the bitterness they had all been hiding. "What exactly makes Amara better than us?" Ngozi sighed heavily. "Nothing. She is simply lucky." "No," Sod said coldly. "People worship her because she pretends to be good." Kemi stopped pounding. "Pretends?" Sod's eyes darkened. "You think kindness is real?" "Amara knows exactly what she is doing. She acts innocent so everyone will love her." Ngozi looked uncertain. "Amara has always been good to us." "Good?" Sod snapped. "When Chibis marries her, do you think she will still sit with us?" People like Amara rise and forget everyone beneath them. Silence fell. The sound of the peso striking yam echoed like distant drums. Then Sod leaned closer. "If Amara disappears, everything changes." The other girls stared at her in shock. But none of them walked away. Weeks later, preparations began for the New Yam Festival. The village became alive with excitement. Masquerades practiced in secret forest. Women dyed wrappers with bright indigo colors. Goats were slaughtered. Drummers rehearsed through the night. Amara was chosen to lead the maidens' dance during the ceremony, an honor reserved for the most respected young woman in the village. Her friends smiled and congratulated her publicly. But privately, darkness had already taken root. On the morning of the festival, Amara's mother noticed something strange. "I had a bad dream," Mama Ifeoma whispered while tying beads around her daughter's waist. Amara smiled gently. "Mother, dreams are like smoke. They pass." "No," her mother insisted. "Stay close to the crowd tonight." Amara laughed softly and kissed her mother's cheek. "I will be with my friends." Those words would haunt her mother forever. That night, the festival was magnificent. Torches lit the village square. The air smelled of roasted meat and burning wood. Drums thundered beneath the moonlight as dancers moved in circles. When Amara stepped forward wearing white beads and a coral wrapper, the crowd gasped in admiration. Even the elders nodded proudly. Chibis could not take his eyes off her. But standing behind the dancers, Sod watched with growing rage. Everything she had ever wanted seemed to belong to Amara. Respect. Love. Beauty. A future. And jealousy, once fully fed, no longer thinks like a human heart. It thinks like fire. Near midnight, Ngozi approached Amara hurriedly. Your mother sent us, she lied. She suddenly became ill. Amara's smile vanished instantly. My mother. Yes, Kemi added nervously. Come quickly. Without hesitation, Amara followed them away from the celebration. Past the last compound. Past the yam barns. Toward the forest path leading to the old river. At first, Amara noticed nothing strange. Then slowly, unease crept into her chest. Why are we taking this path? She asked quietly. Nobody answered. The forest suddenly felt colder. Crickets screamed in the darkness. Amara stopped walking. Ngozi. Sod turned slowly. And the expression on her face made Amara's blood freeze. There is no sick mother, Sod said. Amara stepped backward. What are you saying? Tears already filled Ngozi's eyes. Kemi looked terrified. But Soda's voice remained hard. You took everything from us. Amara stared at them in disbelief. What have I taken? Everything. Sod shouted. People worship you while we remain invisible. Amara shook her head desperately. You are my sisters. No, Sod replied coldly. We were only shadows beside you. Then, before Amara could react, Sod pushed her violently. Amara slipped down the muddy riverbank and crashed against rocks below. Her scream tore through the forest. The others gasped. For a moment, silence swallowed everything. Then came the sound of rushing water. Ngozi began trembling. What have we done? Sod peered downward into darkness. She is dead. Back in the village, panic spread when Amara could not be found. Her mother screamed her name through the night. Men carried lanterns into the forest. Chibis searched until dawn. Then finally, near the riverbank, they found blood-stained beads. Mama Ifeoma collapsed instantly. The entire village mourned. Days passed. Nobody was discovered. Some believed river spirits had taken her. Others feared kidnappers from neighboring communities. But deep inside, Ngozi and Kemi were slowly dying from guilt. Only Sod remained emotionless. Until the seventh day. Because Amara was still alive. After falling into the river, she had struck rocks and lost consciousness, but the current carried her downstream where an old fisherman discovered her barely breathing. For days she drifted between life and death inside his isolated riverside hut. When she finally woke, her body burned with pain. Where am I? She whispered weakly. The old fisherman sighed. Far from those who wanted you dead. Tears rolled silently down her cheeks as memory returned. Not enemies. Not strangers. Her friends. The people she trusted most. Something inside Amara broke forever that day. Meanwhile, guilt consumed Ngozi completely. She could barely sleep. Every drumbeat sounded like Amara screaming. Every shadow felt haunted. One evening during heavy rain, she finally confessed everything to her mother. Her mother slapped her so hard she fell to the floor. You betrayed innocent blood, the woman cried. By morning, the entire village knew the truth. The community erupted with outrage. Kemi confessed shortly afterward, weeping uncontrollably. But Sod denied everything. She lies because she is weak, Sod insisted before the elders. Then suddenly, a voice emerged from the crowd. No one lies. The entire square froze. Amara stepped forward slowly. Alive. Bruised. Thin. But alive. Her mother screamed and ran toward her. Villagers gasped in shock. Chibi stood frozen, tears filling his eyes. And Soda's face lost all color. Amara looked directly at the girl she once called sister. Why? She asked softly. Soda's lips trembled. Years of bitterness suddenly collapsed beneath the weight of truth. You had everything, she whispered. Amara shook her head slowly. You could have shared my happiness instead of destroying your own heart chasing it. For the first time, Sod broke down crying. Not because she was caught, but because she finally understood what jealousy had turned her into. The elders gathered beneath the Noku tree that evening. Traditionally, betrayal leading to attempted murder carried severe punishment. Some demanded exile. Others demanded imprisonment by village guards until neighboring authorities arrived. But Amara shocked everyone. "I do not want revenge," she said quietly. The crowd murmured in disbelief. Even her mother looked stunned. Amara continued. "Jealousy already destroyed them long before they touched me. Let their shame teach the lesson." The oldest elder nodded slowly. "Mercy requires greater strength than revenge." Sod, Ngozi, and Kemi were publicly disgraced and banished from leadership roles among village women. Families avoided them. Their friendship was destroyed forever. And though they remained alive, they carried something heavier than punishment. The knowledge of what they had become. Months later, Amara stood once more beside the river where her life nearly ended. The scar along her shoulder remained permanent. So did the pain. But she had survived. Chibi's approached quietly behind her. "You still come here?" Amara looked toward the flowing water. "This river reminds me that some wounds never disappear. But life continues moving." Chibi's nodded gently. "And your heart?" Amara smiled sadly. "My heart is learning." He took her hand carefully. Not to erase her pain, but to walk beside it. Years later, mothers in Umuaka still told the story of Amara to their daughters during moonlit nights. Not merely as a tale of betrayal, but as a warning. Because envy rarely enters with violence. It enters quietly through comparison, through resentment, through the inability to celebrate another person's blessings. And by the time jealousy fully controls the heart, friendship has already died. The villagers never forgot how 3 girls destroyed their own futures trying to destroy someone they once loved. And they never forgot the girl who survived betrayal without allowing hatred to poison her soul. For in the end, Amara understood something her betrayers did not. Another person's light does not make yours dimmer. But jealousy can turn even the closest friend into a stranger capable of darkness. And